Alright, Disaster Peace Theater. So, oh man, my back itches. So before I make a bunch of videos on this channel, which I will eventually, it's like one a week I think is good, I want to clarify my stance on tarred terria and mud flood, melted buildings, all of that. Where I'm coming from, the standpoint, first of all, everything's spiritual. So that being said, my foundation is there with the man upstairs, the Father in heaven. And so I base, my life now is a spiritual training exercise in live time. It's on the fly. It's manifesting on the fly. And I have to adapt and overcome and, learn patience, wisdom, gratitude, and just try to have every inch of this carbon meat suit, manifesting a positive frequency and vibration of love. That's a challenge, but every once in a while you get these little reminders of why I do what I do. And today I was in Zombie Mart, walking through the parking lot, no mask, and I was dressed pretty in all black. I was going to the gym, so I looked, I was wearing one of those tight long sleeve shirts, and this old granny come up to me. She didn't have her mask on. It was the best. She approached me, 2 feet away, and she says, "Oh, you're going to get fresh air today?" I says, "Just like every day, ma'am." And that opened up one of the best conversations I've had in a long time. Then I said, "Look, I'll walk you all the way through the store, and, I'll get you started." And I said, "Watch, no one's going to say anything if you're with me, I promise you." I said, "I know they take advantage of women, and they pressure them and weak men, and that's because they're fear-based, and they're going along to get along." So we got in, she put her mask on about 10 yards into the store, and we kept talking for about 30 seconds, and she said, "Well, I'm a nurse," and, I said, "I get it. You got to make a living, and you got to make everyone else feel comfortable, but you see where that is leading us? Because now it's coming into your private life. So you're not on the clock right now, and nobody's watching you but these cheap cameras, and, you're going to still go by their narrative and on your own time." So I said, that's where I draw the line. And she was very grateful to have met me, and it felt great to get out there and meet somebody, just to get out there and see somebody else. It reminded me of my mom and grandma, and I know they wear their masks. My mom hates it, but and my grandma is like 96, so she probably has to wear it, even though she probably doesn't like it. But you got to plant those seeds, any chance you get. And when you're walking in courage, you'll be surprised. You're not trying to save everybody, but just give that one or two more people. And that's how it's spread. That's the power of love, guys, and bravery and courage. And that comes from Christ. So let's get back on to the whole tarred terria topic. And really, a lot of what in our current reality, what we're experiencing here, I gave Nikola Tesla credit, for the free energy and inventing all this stuff, because that's what I was told. Just like I was told about Thomas Edison and Bell and all these other crooks that supposedly stole Tesla's work. But I think all Tesla, if anything, could have been a useful idiot, and also mainly just reverse engineering something that had always been here. He just figured it out and figured out how to get it started again, or how it was working, and how, I don't understand or understand exactly, but I don't think he invented all of this stuff. I think that was there to hide the half-truthers and get us all stuck giving credit to anybody but the mainstream narrative, when in reality, Tesla is the mainstream narrative. The mockery is right there in plain sight. Anything that's mainstream has to be questioned. If there's money behind it, it has to be questioned. What are the motivations? What are the goals here? Why the sudden push? Why is everything so smooth for you? Well, I said this in the last videos on the other channels. Anybody with a hard life here doesn't belong here. You should hate the world immediately as soon as you realize that. I turned to drugs. I got angry. I let all my demons come and rent free in my mind for 10 years or more. But the point is, I evicted them 7 years ago, and now I own this house. There'll be no more squatting or renting or anything. It's just how it is. It's the Father's house. I rent from Him. That's it. So, so we have to tread lightly, and these are all ideas that we're all expressing together, and that's the beauty of this thing is the remembrance, right? We've all had this amnesia. They're spraying us with aluminum. I know I'm losing my memory, but it's weird because I'm remembering things that aren't part of my memory, like this knowledge, the way it resonates, how it feels when I watch a new video from another creator, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is great. I mean, look at these minds, these beautiful minds working outside of the programming, which is so deep. And that's a special gift. That is your 100% cue card that says you are a spirit, having or being human in the human experience. Third dimensional carbon meat suit avatar. So, after the whole free energy topic, they had to suppress it, right? And I have a theory, as being in Colorado over the summer and all the stuff that I saw in those mountains hiking. I mean, not on the trails. I'm parking the van, camping overnight, way up there. No power, no cell phone signal, none of that shit. And I'd hike up and I'd find just amazing stuff. I got a lot of good pictures of it, but it doesn't serve justice. It's so funny. It's like the camera works for certain things, and then the things that it just never will do justice. You have to see it. You have to almost feel the energy, right? So, like, we can see all these great pictures of old stuff. We can't verify any of it. Some of the pictures, yeah, I mean, they could be edited or photoshopped a little bit. Who knows? But there's so many, and that are, all this stuff around the earth all the same. So, and there's pictures of it. So we take it for what it is, but it does not do any justice to what you'll see or feel when you're having the actual experience. And that's part of it also. But you have to be led to that, because how many of us went on vacations and we were miserable and we looked right past the beauty? You see it all the time, the family with all the kids staring into the cell phone right next to the Grand Canyon, right? So I believe that's another thing it's not any coincidence or accident. Everything's by design, especially the destruction of your connection to source. They need dumbed down sheep, not critically thinking, freedom-loving people. They need sheeple. So being in Colorado, as most of you know, if you don't know, it's at least 5,000 feet in altitude, and it doesn't feel like it, because the Rocky Mountains and the Continental Divide is to the west of the Denver, and most of that little strip of middle Colorado where the plains or the plateau comes into, the plain will come into the mountain, the base of the Rockies, but you're already like 5,500 feet up, but you just don't feel it. You drive from Florida at sea level, and in 2 days you're a mile up, but you really don't feel like it because you didn't really drive through a whole lot of mountains. You might go through the Smokies or something, but you go up and down. It's kind of hilly. You're not steady climbing, but you are. So what is under that? What caused that? Was it a giant wave or a flow of energy? Did the mud come after the X Factor or meltdown event? Of course it did. It had to. Something had to wipe everything out and then cool it rapidly, because there's too many weird shapes and these hoodoos and stuff sticking up. This stuff was cooled and then covered with water for a short time or a long time. Why was the rest of the world developed, and then all this area over here that clearly looks so much devastation, and it doesn't look old, right? All the trees the same size. Then you got your little sporadic pockets of survival, as certain people like to say, out on the west coast in the sequoias and the big giant Sherman oaks or whatever the hell they call that tree. But for the most part, you look at the Grand Canyon, that looks like an epicenter of some sort of destruction or disaster to me. Was there a crack in the firmament? Is that how it works? Did they crack the firmament? Did they do it on purpose, or did they do it on accident? And these are the underlying questions that constantly, if we're not careful, we'll all, as anybody knows up to this point, how many rabbit holes have we driven into and, saw the bottom or landed softly and gone right into another one? So it's just like a maze. It's like The Shining. There's that big maze, and you're just out there, and it's cold, and Jack's chasing you, right, with an axe while he's drooling. So I always ask myself, what's the underlying stuff? And it's the why. Well, let's say if we did know exactly what happened, and I'm sure if we put all of our minds together and all the stuff we've come up with and researched up to this point, we probably already nailed it, pretty close to it in my humble opinion. So, but I just just use common sense. What am I? The more I seek knowledge, the smarter. I hate the word smart, but the more I'm going to learn, and the better I'm going to be able to discern on my own. The more you're looking for other people to agree with you, even if it's like 5 or 10 people, it doesn't matter, that you're not confident enough about what you believe in or what you've researched. So you're not confident enough. That's a sure sign to yourself. Red flag. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. That's how I was able to put that into words and say it here, is because it happens to me. I still do it. I catch myself though. So that's why I'll put myself or the whole game on blast, because if I do that verbally, publicly, well, it's easier to manifest something that way and then hold yourself accountable easier. I mean, it's okay. We're human. We're human meat suits, guys. And be glad that we have a spirit. That means there's hope. That's probably what it means to be saved, You've been saved. You found out you had a spirit. You remembered who you are, and you know what the game is here. You don't know everything, but you know enough. And with your faith and your trust and coming from love, what do you got to lose? So I don't know why we fight so hard to stay here. It's so funny. It's like, it really is. If you step back and just look at all the people, how easy they've got everyone in lockstep, chasing frivolous goods, panicking about money. I mean, just so many different things they've thrown at them. And it's just like teaching a dog not to poop inside the house or on the floor. Well, what if you taught your dog to shit on the floor and tear everything up? That's kind of what they're doing with the farm animals here. They're just having fun with the sheep, and laughing about it. And then they're taking all their money from them. Because most people are in debt chasing the world. And, I know what happens if you do that. If I was meant to be a billionaire or a millionaire, I'd be one by now. Who's to say I may not be one? And I'm glad I wasn't, because I would have never gotten to where I'm at spiritually. Absolutely not. No way. No way. I would have probably been dead and died in darkness. So, again, I'm just trying to base my whole theory, where I'm at on this, right? Outside of the spiritual, we try to describe this tangible stuff and think of heaven as a tangible place. And I think that's the biggest thing where we drop the ball. We try to take the Bible literally, and we look at the people that go to church and we assume that's a Christian, and it's laughable. It's the same as it being a Trumper or whatever, but you have a mask on that says vote. Okay, I see how it is, Well, most of us will never, the real Christians, the real order of the Melchizedek, you're not going to church, probably those types of churches. You understand I can't stand going in them. Now, there's some small rural ones. I mean, that's different, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Common sense here. We're not going to those places. We are the church now. We've graduated. We're making mistakes, and we're holding accountability to ourselves, and we're trying to learn, and we're doing our best to share the word and walk it out too. And nobody's perfect. It's okay. That's why we had to get forgiveness. That has to come with it. So you're not scared to learn and mess up. So we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's another thing they've done. They've controlled the churches just like anything else. People are so dumb. They think that if they go and show up at a building and they spend all this time looking purty, pull up in their nice car and put a bunch of money in the plate, make sure they put their name on it so they know who it came from. And you got your same seat. It's the same thing. You're not challenging yourself. You're not doing anything. You're talking to the same people. You step outside there, then you put on your other mask and you go about your life. And most people forget they were even there because they're not acting like it. I mean, I don't care if you're polite or you're just quiet. That's worse. You don't have to hold doors open for me. But can you at least be brave? I mean, that's what it's all about, right? How did this country, even if it is an experiment, and they're controlling everything, no matter as much as they can, until God steps in. You just got to ask yourself, man. It's just crazy. So, were these star forts connected to the free energy? Absolutely. Somehow with the firmament, the salt water, everything. Now, what happened? Was there some kind of disaster? Was there something from God? Was Babylon really here? Which I think it was. There's a lot of people that say Edinburgh, Scotland is like the real Jerusalem. I think it's great. Makes perfect sense to me. But again, spiritual speaking, right? Before they had maps and names of countries, it wouldn't be like today. We have to, we get so easily triggered when we start thinking and looking at everything through spiritual eyes. That's what we're supposed to do. So yeah, in closing, I think Denver's so high because there was a blast, something, the epicenter around the Grand Canyon, at least one of them. I don't know if they could have set it off around different parts of the earth. It just doesn't seem as bad as in other places. Australia could have been devastated. I mean, like how flat it is, and there is mountains there, or whatever you want to call them. Melted dog shit for all I care, but I'm just saying, I'm using my common sense. I'm just trying to think, and then all the islands, but look at America. It's pretty unique, and there's a lot of like these deep canyons and weird stuff too down in South America. But it ain't from erosion, guys. Something weird happened here. Now, I don't know, I've always said this even before I knew about any of this stuff, that the ancient technology and advanced technology will be something we will never understand if we saw it. Just like if you dropped a Tesla off in 500 years ago. Just saying the reset wasn't in the last 500 years. Just using an example for the triggered crew. But they wouldn't know what to do with it, right? Something as simple as a lighter even. They'd have to reverse engineer it. They'd have to see somebody use it. So, I'm just saying, man, it's right in our faces. All of this is right in our faces. It always has been, but now we're remembering it. So there has been some amazing thing happen, and it's growing, and a lot more people are starting to wake up. But what are we going to do with it? That's the next question. So yeah, that's my stance. I think there was an epicenter event. Grand Canyon area, Arizona. I'm here right now, so I'm seeing a lot of weird stuff here too. Arizona and Utah, Colorado. This is the epicenter. New Mexico. This is where it's at. This is where you can clearly see something ain't right. Anywhere out here you can. But so yeah, something swooshed and dumped and made that mile high rise up to Denver from the East Coast. After you get over the Appalachians and all that whole area. So it's just weird. And all these like ripples across Texas, there's all these weird pyramids everywhere. Who knows what's under Denver, but they sure as heck wanted to get in there and build that big ass airport and all that underground shit. They don't do stuff like that just for kicks, guys. Y'all know that. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'll be back in the next one here in a little bit. Just, taking it easy and talking shit. See y'all later.